Welcome. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I am Brittany, your manifesting mentor. I'm not a coach, I'm not a guru, but I am a woman who helps you align with your highest self by demonstrating how to recondition your body to a new mind. And today we're diving into chapter 8 of Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And this one is titled Mind, Movie, and Kaleidoscope. So, this chapter kicks off a powerful technique for manifestation using visual and emotional entrainment. And I'm excited to walk through it with you step by step. It kind of reminds you of vision boards, except it's visuals in video format. And he combines music. So we'll talk more about it. But if you're new here, I've been reading Becoming Supernatural chapter by chapter with personal reflections. The full playlist is linked in my bio on both TikTok and here on YouTube. You can find my playlist. So if you want to start from the beginning, you can start from the introduction on down in order with every single live that I've recorded thus far. Catch up from the beginning and just know that it's all organized for you. So let's begin, shall we? Chapter 8, Mind Movies. I had just finished a keynote lecture on Saturday night in Orlando, Florida. The following morning, while packing my bags in preparation for my afternoon flight home, I turned on the television to catch up on the political situation in the United States. It was in the thick of the 2016 presidential election, and since I had been out of the country traveling and lecturing over the previous 3 weeks, I was curious about what had transpired during my time away. I quickly surfed through the channels to find a news station, set the remote down, and while halfway paying attention to the TV, continued packing. Suddenly, a commercial came on that caught all my attention. And in that instant, I understood why we call television programming. The commercial began with a nighttime exterior shot of a couple's home. As the camera zooms in on the house, the words night number 14 with shingles appear on the screen. When the shot moves to the interior, tender yet foreboding music plays while an elderly man moans in pain at the foot of his bed. His concerned wife enters the room and asks him how he's doing. It hurts, he replies. In the lower right corner, in a tiny font, almost the same color as the background, are the words actor portrayal. The wife walks over with a look of despair and slowly lifts her husband's shirt, revealing huge red scabbed lesions covering more than half of his lower back. The imagery is shocking, grotesque, and horrific, looking like nothing less than a large third-degree burn. In my 31 years of practice, I've examined hundreds of people with shingles, and I have never seen anything that looks so severe as the manufactured lesions in this commercial. I immediately knew that it was designed to evoke a strong emotional response with the viewing audience, because it certainly did in me. Once you see the rash on the man's back, the commercial achieves its goal of commanding your attention. Because the portrayal of the rash is so arresting, it changes the way you feel from only a few moments before your present state of watching it. The moment the commercial significantly changes your internal emotional state, it causes you to put more of your attention and awareness on the source of the disruption in your external environment. The stronger the emotion it causes, the stimulus, the more you lean in and pay attention, response. This association of stimulus and response, or conditioning, is how long term or associative memories are created. This process of conditioning begins by pairing a signal, a symbol, or an image with a change in an emotional state, a combination that opens the doorway between the conscious and the subconscious mind. In the case of the shingles commercial, now that they have captured all your attention and begun the programming process, you can't help but naturally wonder what they're about to say next. The commercial continues with a somber male narrator. If you have ever had chickenpox, the shingles virus is already inside of you. As you get older, your immune system weakens and it loses its ability to keep the shingles virus in check. This is what the male voice says. By using emotional branding, this is the first instance where the commercial raises ethical questions by telling the audience that the immune system weakens with age. Next, we see the man in the bedroom looking at himself in the mirror. He looks worried, broken, and defeated. The scene changes to his wife talking on the phone in the kitchen. I just can't stand seeing him like this, she says. Next, we see the man doubled over on his bed, palm to forehead, wincing in pain. The narrator then makes a direct suggestion reinforced by the same words appearing on the screen. 1 in 3 people will get shingles in their lifetime. The narrator continues while the same words remain on the screen. The shingles rash can last up to 30 days. The scene cuts to his wife pleading directly into the camera. I just wish there was something I could do to help. Again, we see the man in pain, and on the screen appear the words 1 in 5 people with shingles will have long term nerve pain. These words remain on the screen for the remaining narration, which says some people with shingles will have long term nerve pain, which can last a few months or a few years. Don't wait until someone you love develops shingles. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist about your risk. Let's take a closer look at what this commercial is attempting to do. First, it puts you in an emotional state by changing how you feel. Once it captures your attention, you immediately become more open and suggestible to information that follows. Now you're more prone to accept, believe, and surrender to this information without analyzing it. If you're feeling fearful, victimized, vulnerable, worried, shocked, weak, tired, or in pain, you're more susceptible to the information equal to those emotions. You might start wondering if the aligned ailment could happen to you. By the way, this is exactly how marketing and advertising work. They play on the human psychology, they play on all of these things that Dr. Joe is talking about by arousing emotion in you and then telling you whatever information they want you to know or to believe in a way that benefits them. Just FYI. And this is from someone who has a master's degree in public relations from an Ivy League down south, by the way. Anyways, at various points during the commercial, certain facts appear written on the screen, allowing you to read along. This serves to reinforce the programming. Also, while the thinking brain is focused on reading the copy, the subconscious mind, I'm sorry, the copy, the content of the narration slips behind the conscious mind and into the subconscious mind. Like an audio recorder, it records the entire script and creates an internal program. So your subconscious mind takes in this information. Once you're in an emotional state, you're more prone to being suggestible. So your subconscious mind is like a record keeper. It's just recording everything that you take in when you're in a state. So he says, next, through a direct, literal suggestion, the narrator has instilled fear in you by personally suggesting you already have the shingles virus in your body, and that because of the natural process of aging, your immune system is no longer strong enough to take care of the virus. This turns on your emotional brain, which is the seat of your autonomic nervous system, allowing it to become programmed. Once the suggestions make it to your autonomic nervous system, it takes the orders without question and gets busy making chemical changes in your body equal to the literal suggestion. In other words, your body is going to subconsciously and automatically be programmed to weaken your immune function just from a commercial. Now, imagine what else they're programming us with. Imagine. In conclusion, you're at risk and you better not wait until you contract it. The commercial's effect goes even a little further. If you ever had chickenpox and after watching this think your immune system is weak because of your age, you will decide to have an even greater need to prevent getting shingles. So you will be even more motivated to buy the drug. Mhm. If you happen to be a person who has had shingles and you're watching the commercial, when you see that your condition is not as severe as the actor shingles, you may find yourself thinking, I should take the drug now so that it doesn't get any worse. I don't want to end up like him. If you don't have shingles, at the commercial's end, you may still be left quite quietly wondering, am I part of the 2/3 of the population that is safe? Or am I in the 1/3 of the population that will get the virus? If you think, I hope I'm not part of the one third. It means you believe there may be a chance that you're susceptible and vulnerable, leaving you unconsciously thinking that you already have it. You know what I found most absurd about this commercial? Me too, Dr. Joe. They never even mention the drug, which means they don't have they don't have to reveal the side effects. Since the commercial had now piqued my curiosity, I stopped packing and looked on the internet for another commercial by the same pharmaceutical company. I wanted to know what drug they were suggesting would alleviate the severity of the actor's exaggerated manufactured lesions. After a quick search, I found several similar commercials with the same theme and wording, but with slight variations. They all shared one thing in common, however. They were all designed to capture your attention. In the next commercial, I watched a woman wearing goggles and swimming in a lap pool. Everything is black and white. In a twist on the previous commercial, the narrator speaking in an authoritative female British accent is the shingles virus, and the narration is coming from within the woman's head. Impressive, Linda. Age isn't slowing you down, but your immune system weakens as you get older, increasing the risk for me, the shingles virus. I've been lurking inside you since you had chickenpox. I could surface at any time as a painful, blistering rash. The scene then abruptly cuts back from black and white to color, and a man lifts his shirt to reveal the worst shingles rash you've ever seen. Again, grotesque, blistering lesions can't help but attract your attention. As quickly as the scene turns to color, it returns to the swimmer in black and white. The commercial continues in a similar manner and formula as the previous one. First, make an arresting statement or show a shocking image to change the viewer's emotional state. Then, cause them to be more suggestible to the information via the change in their emotional state. And finally, use autosuggestion to make them wonder if they already have shingles. This ad also infers that even though you might be healthy, work out, take care of yourself, you can still become a victim of the virus, further suggesting that no one is immune. Again, the words on the screen reinforce the message. 1 in 3 people get me in their lifetime, Linda. Will it be you? If you identify with a woman in any manner, the voice is talking directly to you. So this just reminds me like how from the perspective of people in other countries outside of America, which is where I live, they talk about how Americans are so unhealthy and, apparently our society is a lot sicker than a lot of other countries. And I would say that this is a major reason why we tune into television so much and we don't realize there's so much programming getting us to believe in our inadequacies and our limitations and basically preying on our fearfulness. And we are accepting and surrendering subconsciously to all of this information, giving directives to ourselves and our bodies. They are always listening to us. And that's all I got to say for now. The tone of the commercial then changes as a new male narrator begins speaking in a confident, lighthearted tone, devoid of worry or concern. In a British accent, the voice says, and that's why Linda got me, drug X. The scene remains in black and white, and except for the woman's bathing suit, her swim cap, and the name of the drug, which appears on the screen in a large, sophisticated font. Now the drug has been imprinted into your brain at yet another level. Once again, the ad has created an association between your health and safety and the drug that will protect you. The tagline comes on the screen as the narrator reads it aloud, stating that the drug helps to boost your immune system against shingles to help protect her to help protect her against you, shingles. At the end of the commercial, the narrator says, Drug X is used to prevent shingles in adults 50 years and older. The drug is not to be used to treat shingles and does not help everyone. Here's the punchline. You should not take the drug if you have a weakened immune system. Whoa, what? Back up. Here's the irony. They just told you that as you age, your immune system weakens and at a greater risk for shingles. The drug is supposed to strengthen your immune system, but you shouldn't use it if you have a weakened immune system? Now comes the dilemma. If you still choose to take the drug, You believe the drug to be more powerful than your possibly weakened immune system. The programming worked. What the clever, if not unethical, advertisers understand is that this message is confusing and disorienting to your conscious mind. At the same time, however, they are programming your subconscious mind with the idea that your immune system is weak. You probably already have the virus within you, and chances are high that you'll get shingles, even if you're healthy. In addition, you are told that without the medication, you are likely to suffer, even though there are no guarantees that the shingles will go away easily. And that is still might not work if your immune system is weak. You see how they get us? Finally, come the side effects, which are not side effects, but direct effects of these drugs. He says, a shingles like rash, redness, pain, itching, swelling, hard lumps, warmth, bruising, or swelling at the injection site, and headache. Talk to your doctor if you plan to be around newborns or people who are pregnant or have a weakened immune system because the vaccine has a weakened version of the chickenpox virus and you could infect them. Sound like enough for you? Wow, I started to wonder what planet I was living on. This type of programming makes you wonder if we really have free will or if we're all making choices based on what we have been conditioned to believe is the answer. Whether that's a certain type of beer, shampoo, or conditioner, the latest smartphone, or a pill that may or may not provide relief from the shingles virus you may or may not even have. Most of the time, advertising appeals to lack and separation by reminding you to want what you don't have, desire what you need to fit into a social consciousness, or satiate a feeling of emptiness or loneliness. And of course, in this case, if you're sick or feeling like you're sick, the advertiser has the answer to your symptoms. In one final search, I came across a similar commercial with the same theme: an actor dramatically suffering for 17 days, the shocking exposure of a huge lesion, and words on the screen to influence the viewer's thoughts while reinforcing the same content. Like the other commercials, this one explicitly informs the public that the drug is not used to treat shingles, even though it's a shingles treatment commercial. But at the end of the commercial, the handsome man smiles and declares, I think I'm going to give it a try. Meanwhile, I'm left wondering why he would give it a try if he already has had shingles for 17 days, especially if the drug doesn't treat the condition. Now I'm really confused. Years ago, I learned in my training that by definition, hypnosis is a disorientation of the inhibitory processes of the conscious mind, bypassing the analytical mind so that one becomes highly responsive to suggestions and information in the subconscious mind. In other words, we are being hypnotized because they catch us in passive ways. When we're scrolling our phone, when we're folding our clothes or packing to go out of town, we're passively listening to these commercials. We're passively allowing it to sink into our subconscious mind. And we're passively giving our body signals and telling it things subconsciously and wonder why we feel so crazy. Anyways, he says, as the conscious mind is busy and preoccupied trying to figure things out, the subconscious mind takes it all in without discretion. If you can disorient people with information, or in today's world, disinformation, shock, or confusion, you just open the door to programming their subconscious mind. In other words, a lot of structures and systems and people and groups are getting away with confusing people on purpose to disorient them, to get them to believe whatever their agenda is. And we can all think of some examples of this today in 2025. Oh, yeah. In this chapter, we're going to learn how to do the opposite and positively reprogram the negative programming we've been conditioned for most of our lives to believe. So this is basically what my movies, Kaleidoscope movies, are all about. And that wraps up the introduction to chapter 8. In my next video, we're going to cover the 3 minds of the three minds in one brain, which basically are the conscious, the subconscious, and the analytical mind. And we're going to explore how these parts of the mind interact, plus how this all connects to something that Dr. Joe calls kaleidoscope eyes. It's a fascinating bridge between science and the mystical. And I'll see you in part two.